Hey friends, it's Rachel from Simple Tech Connections, and we are going to be talking all about creating forms inside your high-level white label or your Subtrio dashboard that you can use in your business for people to sign up for your email list, opt in for a freebie, and lots of other things. So this is just a basic overview of form creation. It's not an in-depth one, but I just wanted to get this video created so you guys have an idea of how to just create your form. So let's get started. So the first thing you're going to do is log into your dashboard, and then you're going to come over here to the left hand side and you're going to click on sites. That's going to bring up this area of your account, and we are looking for this right here, forms. So if you hover over that, you can see three different areas here: builder, analyze, and submissions, and we are going to start here in the builder area. So go ahead and click on that. Now, obviously, I already have a bunch of different forms created, but I'm going to show you how to start from scratch so you know exactly how to build one, okay? So if you don't have any forms in here, if this is completely blank, there's going to be a button right in here. It'll probably be blue that you'll be able to create a form. If you do have forms in here, you can come over here and click on Add Form. That is what I'm going to do because I already have forms created. Now, if you click on Choose from Template, you can see that we have a ton of different templates in here for you to use. You can definitely choose one of these templates to utilize, and if you don't, or if you have trouble with like blank screen syndrome or whatever you call that, that's what I call it, definitely just grab a template out of here and then you can work off of that. But I like to build from a blank template, and that's what I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so if you wanted to use one of these, you can just, like, say we wanted this one, you can just click on it and it gives you like a close-up look, and then you can click on continue and it would go ahead and add that template, name it a generic name, and then open it so you can edit it. Okay, so I'm going to go back and start and build a from scratch template. All right, so we're back in just the regular forms builder area, and I'm going to click on add form, and I'm going to choose start from scratch instead of from a template. Okay, so I am just going to make a super simple freebie opt-in form. We'll just pick some sort of freebie and create it for that. Okay, and I'm going to make it for my website, and I'm going to have it so it's a full page. So this is what it looks like when you click start from scratch. It does put in some odds and ends, and you can keep what you need to or get rid of what you don't want to. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these things that I don't need in here. I don't need people's phone numbers. I don't need their last name. I really just want their first name and email. And you may not want to collect the first name, and that's fine. Let's start with our general form settings. So the first thing you want to do when you create a new form is come up here at the top, click this little edit button, and give it a name. That way when you're looking at your list later, you don't see form 7 and form 2 and form 8 and you're going, I have no idea what this form is for. So we're just going to rename this, oops, I need to click back up there again. We're just going to name this the STC website, or yeah, the STC website freebie opt-in form. That way we know when we're looking at it again what it's for. Okay, so if you come over here on the right hand side and click this little like kind of filters type looking button, click on that, and these are going to be all of the settings and styles and all of that kind of stuff for your entire form, like your form as a global option. Okay, so the first thing we have is different form types. We have single column, which is what we have now. We have 2 columns, which basically splits it in half and puts one thing on either side. And then we have a single line, which puts everything all in the same line. So depending on what you're looking for design wise, you can choose which one of these layouts works best for you. So I'm just gonna do this for now. I think this is a single column. Okay, then you can change your input style from a box to a line, whichever option you like, and then you can change the width of your form. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to make this for kind of like a full page width option for my website, but I want to include like a mock-up picture on one side, so I only want this form to be about 1/2 to 2/3 of the size of my web page. And so if you think about it, usually we go for around 1920 pixels for width when we're talking about like hero images and stuff that's going to span your entire website. So thinking about that, we'll want some space on either end, right? So I am going to say, so 1/2 of 1900 is like 800. I'm just going to do this as like an 800 size for now. No, I'm going to do this as a 700 size. That's still kind of big. I don't like the boxes that big. That looks about right. If I do it like this, I'll have plenty of room on either side, like in my row layout, to just add color to the rest of it. And so that's probably what I'll do. Again, you can decide like what size you want this to be. Like I'll pull up, if I pull up my website, you can see I just created this little opt-in form right here, and I think it was around 400 to 500 pixels wide. Okay, so if you think about that, I can have, if I wanted it to go the full width of my website, I could have some color over here and an image over here and then more color, and it would kind of look okay. So you kind of have to think about like where you're going to put this form. If it's going to go on your website or a landing page or something, you kind of have an idea of where you want it to go, so you can have an idea of how you want to design it. I feel like there could be a whole tutorial just on designing forms, but we're not going to go into all of that here. So field spacing is just the size between, like this size in between the fields. Okay, so you can set that to whatever feels good for you. I'm going to go ahead and do like a 10 or so pixels, just so I've got enough room when I'm designing on my website. All right, next we have the labels. Okay, so see this little toggle switch right here, show label. If you don't want these labels on here, you can toggle them off so they don't show up. I like to have them on there, but again, that's totally up to you. You can have it whatever way you want to. And then our label alignment right here, you can have them aligned to the left, to the right, or above the boxes. Okay. And then the other thing to look at right here is the padding. So if you want like a little bit of room in between stuff, like if you want it, you know, closer to the top or whatever, you can do that. We'll just leave it how it was. And actually, I'm gonna lower that down just a little bit so it's not so tall. Okay. And then if you want to, you can do like, you know, have padding on the sides, more padding on the sides if you want to. Okay. All right, so that's the layout options. Let's look at colors and backgrounds. So the first one up is the background of the entire form. Okay, so we can change this to whatever color we want to. I am actually going to grab one of my brand colors real quick and pop that in here. Okay, and you always have to put, so they use a 8-character hex code. So you always have to put, if you're just using like the 6-character hex code, you always have to put the FF behind it, and that's gonna have it'll be true to whatever hex code color you add in there. You just have to have to add in the FF to work with the system. Okay, so I'm actually gonna change that to a different color real quick. There. That'll be a better option. Okay. And now we can't see our words, but we're going to fix it. The next thing on our list. All right, the next thing here is going to be your font colors, which is going to be the colors in here. And then the input background is going to be the background color of this box. So I think I might actually bring this down to just a tiny bit of gray so it's not quite so much contrast. Okay, you can also add a background image if you want to, and you can add a header image to this if you wanted to by just adding a file right here, and it would just pop up right there. Okay, and then that's our colors and backgrounds, and then miscellaneous, you don't have to worry about this. It's just agency branding. I use Subtrio as my high-level white label. It's the best. You need to use it if you don't, but generally you're not going to want that on there. So go ahead and toggle that back off. And then make sure just periodically as you're building out your form, you click on save. Because I don't want you to lose all of your work. Okay? The next thing we want to look at is these advanced settings right here. So again, these are going to be global settings for your entire form. Okay? So the first thing, we have our border. If you want a border around your form, that's great. This one, I'll make this a little bit darker or wider so you can see it's just a white border because that's the color right here. We could change it to a red border if we wanted to. You could make a really big border, or you can make it a really small border. I actually don't want a border on this form, so I'm just going to take that down to 0. Okay. You also have the option, pop that back in there. You can have dots, you can have dashes, or no border by clicking on here. I'm just going to take that back to 0 so I don't have to worry about it. Now, if you want your form to have a shadow, you would do that right here. Okay, you can kind of see it just a little bit. Let me make this a little bit. Let me make a different color so you can actually see it. Okay, see how there's a little drop shadow here? If you want that, great. If not, just change all these to 0. Okay. You could do like an offset one, like if you wanted that, and you could do like a -10. Oh, I bet they don't let me do that. Just kidding. And do a 10 there, and you can offset it that direction. Blur is like how much it's blurred out. So if you change it to 1, see how it becomes a much more solid line, or you could blur it a whole bunch so it's very just kind of light and airy. And then the spread is how far it reaches out. Okay, so you can kind of control that with yeah, just control it here with this. That'll be the easiest thing. Okay, 0 if you don't want it to go very far. You know, bigger numbers if you want it to be really big, etc. Okay, you, like I said, I was gonna say you can kind of control it here with your horizontal and vertical spacing options too. I mean, like we could bump this up, and then if we wanted to spread, it would be even bigger, and you can see how it moves it back over as well. So you can design this however it makes you happy. Again, I'm not going to be using a drop shadow for this form because I want it to be really nice and clean and just blend in with the background row color that I'm going to be adding where I'm going to be adding this form. Okay. Next up is our input field, which is this area right here. Our font color is the font color that's going to be typed in. Like when someone actually types in this box, that's the color it's going to be, and I'm fine with that, just a nice dark color. Border color is the border around. Let me bump this up. You can see there's a border around here. I'm not concerned about that. The little bit of gray is fine. And then corner radius, if you want it to be a nice squared off corner, you would change it to 0. If you want it to be really rounded, you would, make this number larger. I'm going to set it to like a 3, just a really light rounding. And then the width is like a max width if, like for instance, if you wanted this to be smaller than the actual size of your form, you could put that in here. Okay, but you can also just leave it as default if you're happy with like the width as it is. Again, we have an option for border styles around our input boxes, and those are the same styles as we had as our border for our whole form. Padding is like how far it is from here and from the top to bottom and here. I don't know why they set this to such a big number. I'm going to take that down to 15 because that's the size on the other end as well. Okay, and then we have a shadow. If you want a shadow, you can have a shadow off of your input boxes as well. I think it looks kind of, I don't know that it's necessary, especially on a small form like this, but if you like it, go ahead and add one. Okay, let's close that and open up the label area. So the label is going to be like where it says first name and email here. I realize you can't hardly see it, but we're going to change that color real quick. Let me grab another one of my brand colors, and then we'll put the FF behind it to make everybody happy. And see, that just puts that color in there. I'm actually going to use a different color. Make it a little easier to read, okay? And then you can change the font family here. There's lots of options, or you can like type in whatever. If you know what your font is, you can just type in the name instead of having to like scroll through stuff. Okay? I'm going to leave that on enter because that is one of my brand fonts. And if you want it to be a bigger size, you can change that here. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 14 because again, this is not going to be a super big form. Okay? And if you want it to be light or bold, like you could change the weight right here and make it bolder, lighter, etc. Okay. I'm just going to leave it at 500 because that's a nice, like, it's a little bit heavier than like normal text, but it's not all the way to bold text. And then let's do our short labels. This form actually doesn't have any short labels on it, but if you did, this is where you would change the colors and the font size, etc. Placeholder, that would be this text that's in here. I just like to make it a nice light, like kind of grayish color. You can change it to any color you want to. I mean, let me just copy that real quick. Click the button. I mean, we could change it to red. We could change it to blue. You can change it to whatever you want it to. Like I said, I usually just leave it as kind of a grayed out, just a light medium type gray color. So it's there and you can read it, but it's not super like in your face noticeable. Okay. And again, you can change the font size and weight and everything right here. And the custom CSS, you're not going to need this unless you like love coding, loves using CSS. I just would ignore that if you don't know how to do coding. Make sure you click on save. All right, so once you have the global settings for your entire form set the way you want to, we're going to go in and look at each of these different options and the other options that you can add to your form. Okay, so again, we're just creating a simple free opt-in form. So right now for me, I just want a first name and email and a button here. So like you can click on each one of these and you might, and if the edit box doesn't come over here over on the right hand side, you may just have to click this back button and then click this X because our global settings were still up, and then you can have the settings for each specific input field. Okay, so this is the first one right here. You can change your label, so if you just wanted to say name, you could do that. I think I might actually do that. You could change the placeholder if you wanted to. Short label. So your short label is like an extra little bit underneath. So like add your name here, and you literally can't see it because it's a odd color, but it adds it right underneath here. I don't need that for this form, so I'm going to take it back out. Okay, don't worry about the query key right now. And then you can change your field width. So like if you don't want it to be full width, you could, this is a percentage and you can change it to whatever percentage you want it to. Okay, I'm going to leave it as 100 for right now. And if you want this field to be required, check the little required box and you can see it adds a little asterisk right here. That means they have to enter their name in order to submit this form properly. Okay, and that's up to you. I don't require a name, but I do require an email. All right, so go ahead and save it because we made some changes and I don't want to like lose any of those. All right, so the next one, let's come down here to email. Same thing, you can change the label, you can change the placeholder, all that kind of stuff. Don't mess with the query key and your field width and required, etc. Once you get this one the way you want it, go ahead and click on save again, just to make sure you don't lose any of your settings. And then I want to look at our button settings because green is not one of my brand colors and I want to fix that. So I also want this text to not just say button, right? So let's change this to claim, oh, what should we call it? Claim my guide now, or something, like whatever you want it to say. If you want subtext, you can put that in and it'll go below that. I don't need any subtext, so I'm going to take that back out. Now you can change your alignment here. You can make it left, right, or center justified. You can change this. I'm sorry, that's for your button. You can change the alignment of your text right here. You can also change like the formatting for it as well. Okay. Now we can scroll down a little bit and we've got our button style. I'm going to change this to a brand color. 6. Don't forget to add your FF to the end. That's just silly, but that's how it is. You can add a border to it if you wanted to. I'm not going to put a border on it, but I probably will add a drop shadow. You can change the corner radius if you want to. You can make it full width if you want to. You can make it smaller. And when you do that, that's when you can see this alignment option up here. You can change where it is on the how it's aligned with your input boxes. Okay. You can mess with your padding if you want to. Around, that's just the distance around the edge of your text to your button. Okay, you can make it smaller if you want a nice thin button, whatever you like, whatever fits your branding. I am going to go ahead and stick a shadow on here, just like a, let's just do a lightish gray color. And let's do a 3, and we can do a little bit of a blur if we wanted to. Actually, I don't like that blur very much. That's too bright. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker. That's better. Okay. Let me make it a little smaller. There. I like that better. Okay. So once you get those how you want them, go ahead and scroll down, and then you can change the text of your button. You can change the color, the font family, the size, and the weight. Again, the weight is just if it's like bold or not. I'm going to bump that up to 500 so it's a little bit bolder. And this is where you would change your subtext if we had that on there. So I'm going to leave my button like that for right now, and I'm going to come up here and click on save. If it ever does that to you, you may just have to save it again. I'm going to have to change this. Back to the way you had it. I don't know if it does this for everybody, but it does do it for me sometimes. And yeah, so like I don't know if it does it for everybody or just me or what, but it gets annoying after a little bit. All right, so there's that. I'm not going to worry about the padding and everything. I'm going to take this back down to a little bit smaller. I'm probably not going to add the shadow back on here, and the text is pretty well okay the way it is. So let's see if we can save that again. Perfect. Now I actually don't like that only being part of the width, so I'm going to bump that back up to 100% for now. And make the font a little bit bigger. There we go. Let's save it again. Okay, so that's the basics of creating the actual form. Okay, we went through each of the different parts. Now let me walk you through real quick. If you come over here to the left hand side, you can see this little plus button, and that is for adding a form element. The next is conditional logic, and I'm going to do an entire different video on conditional logic because that's for like quizzes and that sort of thing, like kind of like if they do this, then that kind of situation. And then the notifications, let's go ahead and look at that real quick. So if you want to receive an email notification anytime somebody fills out this form, go ahead and toggle this on. Okay. And if you want the person that submits it, to receive an automated email reply back with all of the information that they submitted on the form, you would toggle this on. Now, the way I use the autoresponder is like I have some forms set up for people when they like buy a plugin from me and I need certain information from them to be able to install that plugin on their website. And so I use a form inside Subtrio for that. And I always make sure that I have the autoresponder turned on for those types of forms so people know what they submitted. Now for a freebie opt-in form, that's completely up to you. I don't need an email notification every time somebody opts into one of my freebies, but you might want to send them a autoresponder email that says, hey, here's what you sent in. Again, that's completely up to you, okay? So let's go back to the add form element. And these are all of the different things that you can add into your form, okay? Now, if you're using Subtrio or High Level for like an online business or something, you're probably not going to need like a phone number unless you're wanting to do text messaging, date of birth, unless you want to do specific like birthday stuff, etc. But anytime you see one of these things that you want to add, you just click on it and drag it over and drop it where you want it to go on your form. Now I already had that in there, so it's not going to let me do it twice, but you can see. And then if you put it in and you don't want it, you just click on it, click this X, and it takes it away. Okay. You can add, this is where you add a button. You can create payment forms. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of every one of these details. This is just a basic how to create a form kind of situation, but just so you know, you have this option to sell products if you want to. Okay, you can actually take payments right from this form, and just collect payments like a specific dollar amount. Okay, you can get their address or just parts of their address. You can ask them for their website. You can add just like a text line. So like if you want somebody to give you like a short answer, you could bring this over here and it would create a field that they could, fill out. So like, I don't know if you needed like information from them or something like that. Okay. You can also do a multi-line box, a list. You can do drop-down options, check boxes, etc. So like if you wanted to add some check boxes, you can do that like that. And then just like you can do terms and conditions, like you can do a score, like if you're doing like a quiz type of situation. You can add an image, just tons of different things that you can add in. You can even add in a signature box if you need them to add a signature. You can add in a date picker if you need them to pick a date to like book an appointment or something like that. So tons of different things. And then I just want you to know about custom fields right now. Custom fields are how you can really really make your form specific and really like work. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like I have like my affiliate programs, and I'm actually going to change the way I do this. But if you had multiple affiliate programs and you wanted people to be able to check which affiliate program that they wanted to sign up for, you could make a custom field for this and you could pop it in here, and it really integrates really well with like workflows and stuff like that. But again, custom fields, different video. This is just a freebie opt-in form. Okay. All right, so once you have all the elements added to your form that you want, you need to go ahead and come over here and click on Save again to make sure we don't lose any of our work. And then we're going to look at one more thing, and I promise this really quick video that was supposed to be really quick that turned out really long is going to be finished. So you come back over here to the global options again. Click on that. So we looked at the styles and then we went straight into advanced settings. I want to show you these other two options as well. They have the options for themes. So if you like a certain form, you can click on this and it's going to use that theme for your form. Okay, it's going to overwrite what you've already done. The other option, no pun intended, is the options tab. Okay, and what that lets you do is create a message when someone submits this form. So you can, it defaults to thanks for taking the time to complete this form. You can change it to whatever you want to. Like it's just like a freebie opt-in on your like a website. You probably aren't going to send them to like an upsell page or anything like that. You might want to just give them a little message. Let me show you what I did for my website real quick. So I already put my name and email address in here. Click on the button and it's just going to go ahead and process that, and it's going to pop up with a little information that's like, hey, check your inbox. This is when I send my emails out, that kind of thing. Okay, so you come in here and edit that right here. If you want to change the way that like this little box looks, you will toggle on message styling and you can change the font here, like you would change it to your brand font. You can change the background color, you can change the font color, the size, and everything right here. Once you get that set the way you want to, make sure you click on save. If you need like the Facebook pixel ID stuff, you would do that here. This is more Facebook stuff. And then your form settings. Make sure if you want sticky contact. So if you have this turned on and somebody's been to your website before and entered information, they would not have to enter their information again. It would automatically populate, like auto-populate, if this was toggled on. I don't like to have this turned on. I like to let people add the information in that they want to. Sometimes people want to add a different email address, things like that. So I go ahead and just leave that toggled off. The GDPR compliant font, you can turn that on if you need to, and then enable time zone. So if you want to know what time somebody entered this form in their time zone, you need to toggle this on. Okay, so this will keep track of the time based on the person submitting the form. If it's toggled off, it'll show the submission at your time zone. So like I'm in Mountain Time, okay? So if you are in Eastern Time and submit this form, it would show like 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But if this is toggled off, it would show like 6 p.m. Mountain Time for me. So that just really depends on how you want to work with your forms. So leave it on or off, whichever you prefer. Go ahead and save again. Okay, and now the very last part of this tutorial. Click on integrate right here. Okay, back up. You can click on preview if you want to. It's going to open your form in a new page and you can see what it looks like. It's going to look almost identical to what it looks like in the editor. But if we click on integrate, this is how you add, this is the information you need to be able to add these forms to a website, to a link in an email, anything like that, okay? So we have 4 different options here. We have a sticky sidebar. So this is just going to pop your form on the side of your website and it's just going to stay there, okay? And polite slide in, you can set it to slide in at a particular time. So if they get halfway down the page and you want it to slide in, then you would like check show on scrolling and put 50% in here, and then it would pop in or slide in after they go through 50% of your page. Okay, you can also do it so it will show after a number of seconds. So if they're on your page for 3 seconds, it'll pop in, etc. Okay, you can activate it like if it's their second visit or whatever, you can do that or have it always activated. With the trigger type, if you want it to always show up, you would always just click on always show. And then deactivation options, you can either set it to never deactivate, deactivate once the lead is collected, or deactivate after like that pop-in form or that slide-in form has been shown X number of times while they're on your website. I like to set it as deactivate once lead is collected. If that's how you're going to use your form. I hate pop-ups to begin with. I hate slide-ins. I hate sticky sidebars, okay? If I want to sign up for your opt-in, I'm going to do it no matter how many times you throw that pop-up in my face. And if you keep throwing pop-ups in my face, I'm going to leave your website because it's going to make me angry. So moral of the story is, if you're going to use a pop-up or a slide-in or anything like that, don't make it annoying. But my number one tip is don't use any of these three options in the first place. Just make it inline. And that's what I'm going to use for my website. This is just going to be a, like I said, a bar in my website that people can click on or scroll past, whichever they prefer. So I'm just going to make sure it says never deactivate because I want it to always show up, always activated, and always show. Okay, so again, you can explore the different options here, but use whatever works best for you. Then, if you want to just link this form someplace, you would copy the form link right here, right? If you want to embed this into your website, you would click the copy embed code right here. Then you would go to your website. Actually, let me just see if I can show you real quick. Let me just log in. So you would log into your WordPress dashboard, go to your pages, choose the page you want to put it on. I'm still editing my website, so some of these pages aren't going to stay. Here, we'll just put it on the FAQ page. Find the page you want, click on edit. It's going to open that up. Okay. And you are going to add, we're just going to add a row layout. Super simple. Actually, let me try that again. Let's add a row layout and let's do a 2-column. And then where you want your form to go, we're going to click on or search for custom HTML. And we are just going to paste that information we just copied from Subtrio into this box. Then you can click on preview and it's going to show you your form. Okay. Now, styling this is topic for another video because it would take way too long to show you how to style all this out, but you can change the background color, you can change your padding, you can add an image over here and that sort of thing. But just remember, wherever you want it to go, you want to add a block and you want to do custom HTML, and then you would drop that, just paste that code in there that you copied from Subtrio. So like when you click on copy the embed code, you just get a little notification that says copy to clipboard. You don't actually see anything really happen. Just know that it got copied. It's on your clipboard. You can bring it over, drop it into your website, and it'll be there. So again, my really quick video turned into kind of a long video, but that's how you create a form, a basic form, a freebie opt-in form, etc. And I will show you in another video like how to connect that to your workflows and all that kind of stuff. So if you have any questions, drop them below and I'll see you in the next video.